For this video, I'm going to rank all Mangekyou Sharingan abilities. The ranking will be based on utility, attack potency / power, and probably like drawbacks or repercussions for using the abilities. Just because we know some of the abilities cause blindness or physical pain to different degrees. And I also want to say where I rank them doesn't necessarily mean that the one on the lowest part of the list is weak. It's just that all the Mangekyou Sharingan abilities are pretty much broken in general. And well, being the worst of the broken abilities isn't that bad, you know what I'm saying? Also, I'm only covering Naruto and Naruto Shippuden Mangekyou abilities. I know Sarada has her Mangekyou now, but that ability still isn't revealed yet. Shin Uchiha has an ability too, but who cares about him? With all that being said, I'm your host, Liquid Zero. I'm back in with another video. If you're new, please hit the subscribe button. And yeah, let's get started. First, we will start with the OG Mangekyou Sharingan ability, Amaterasu, which is the strongest fire style jutsu in the Naruto verse. It engulfs a target area in a black flame that will burn a target for an eternity. Well, not really, but it stays there for a while, or at least until it's sealed, absorbed, or extinguished by the user, or blown away by a big enough force, aka Shinra Tensei. If you're hit by Amaterasu, it's basically a death sentence unless you have some kind of hack to save you. There's a running joke in Naruto that Amaterasu is useless because no one ever dies from it. Amaterasu is pretty much Kishimoto's original one-shot ability. Even if you hit a non-vital spot, the burn will force you to have to remove the body part, or you run the risk of it spreading. The basic Amaterasu isn't too versatile as it only shoots what's in the sight of the Uchiha that's casting it. Now for the drawbacks of Amaterasu. First is the chakra consumption. In part 1, when Itachi goes to capture Naruto, he uses one Tsukiyomi and one Amaterasu. I have no idea the costs, what costs more chakra, but we do see him pretty much completely drained when he uses Tsukiyomi on Sasuke, and he uses Amaterasu to escape. Granted, this could have been a diversion to give Konoha a chance to survive that first Akatsuki showing. However, I don't know in part 1 if Kishi had planned for this to be Itachi's master plan yet, but I digress. Granted, this could be because the time skip is a few years later, but Itachi as well as Sasuke are able to fire Amaterasu multiple times without being completely depleted in Shippuden. So maybe it doesn't use as much chakra as we originally thought in part 1. Now the other drawback is that it causes blindness. And from what I can see, it is pretty standard, but by no means do I think it causes blindness the fastest. And I say this because Itachi was in his 20s when he died, and he's had his Mangekyou Sharingan since the Uchiha incident, which he was like a teenager at the time. So it's been at least a few years. Next up is Kamui, Kakashi version, aka the left eye of Obito. This ability is very strong. It is an instant disintegration of a body part. If it hits anything vital, it equals a death. There is no burn effect, you just straight up lose. The user is able to teleport projectiles as well and use them against their enemy in combat. Kamui is very fast and it essentially appears on the user's body. It is not like a beam, for example, which would need travel distance starting at the user who casts it. Kamui requires extreme speed, substitution or a hack's ability to escape, and for a substitution jutsu to work, it will probably have to have been used before the portal appears on the body part. What's interesting about it is that we know that it is a moving an object or a person to the Kamui dimension. So when you cut off someone's arm, then you just have a leftover body part laying around on the floor or something. The left eye Kamui also has the added effect of being a defensive ability, as Kakashi can also use it to warp dangerous objects or jutsus away from himself and his allies when under duress. The drawbacks for Kamui are definitely way more in the favor of using more chakra, but I think it's only really bad because Kakashi isn't a Uchiha. I believe in the first part of the series, that is if he used Kamui more than once or twice, he's pretty much going to the hospital because it drains so much chakra. Later in the series, he starts using it multiple times per day, so his chakra reserves had to have increased significantly. Remember, in part 1, Kakashi said he could only use like 4 Rakiris before he passed out. Well, Kamui uses way more chakra than that. For blindness, I believe Kamui causes blindness at a below average rate. And I say this simply because Kakashi really does not start to go blind until the war arc, which is way later than he originally received his Mangekyou abilities. He had to have discovered it before part 2 of Naruto, as he was clearly training to use it before they went looking for the Akatsuki in the early part of Shippuden. Kagutsuchi is the next ability in the rankings, and it's kind of odd to rate it because it requires Amaterasu. But anyway, Kagutsuchi is pretty much black flame manipulation. Unlike Amaterasu, it can be used offensively and defensively. Sasuke can attach it to arrows. He can pretty much swing it like a Destructo Disc, or even infuse it into other techniques like Rasengan or Rasen Shuriken or his own Chidori. This pretty much elevates anything it touches to Amaterasu level damage, aka all his abilities become a potential one-shot. Utility wise, the shaping allows Sasuke to extinguish it if it hits the wrong target or he needs someone to give him some information. It also means he shouldn't ever be burned by his own Amaterasu. If, for example, say he steps on it by accident, defensively he can combine it with Susanoo to make pretty much one of the strongest defensive abilities in the series. Literally cause a Raikage to lose his arm, and he was pretty much going to lose his whole body of guard and save him from doing that leg drop. The drawbacks are pretty much the same as Amaterasu. There's no way you can really tell if it causes more chakra drain or more blindness. Now this is where it gets a little bit tricky for me, and I actually have the next two tied. Tsukiyomi's the one I'll touch on first. Tsukiyomi has to be the top of the heap for Genjutsu in the series. This ability gives the user free reign over the target's mind with the added effect of time manipulation. Seconds can be days, etc., inflicting pain or whatever Itachi wants to do. I think in one of the novels it's revealed that during the Uchiha incident, instead of causing suffering to his girlfriend, they live a happy family life where she dies in her old age. You can correct me on this if it isn't true though, because I haven't read it. Anyway, we are first introduced to the pure madness of this ability in part 1 of the series. He stuck Kakashi on a cross and stabbed him repeatedly for days, but in real time it had only been a moment. Kakashi was pretty much mentally done after that and collapsed. He then used it again to re-traumatize Sasuke to relive the Uchiha incident over and over again. Tsukiyomi, unlike other Genjutsu, only needs eye contact to activate. There's also no cast time. It is truly an all-encompassing move, but it's mainly used offensively. Genjutsu is a bit tricky though, as it can go from a defensive situation to switching to offense. Even the battle Sasuke and Itachi had at the start of their fight was a constant tug of war in Shippuden, which to this day I think Itachi tanks towards the end to let Sasuke win the Genjutsu war, but I digress. For the drawbacks, Tsukiyomi seems to drain less chakra than Amaterasu, as if you notice Itachi does use it quite a bit more than Amaterasu in the series. However, I still don't think it's as much as other Mangekyou abilities. Blindness should be the same as Amaterasu or a little bit less. We can't really quantify it too well. We do know Itachi has used Tsukiyomi a lot in the series while he was alive, as Edo Itachi clearly doesn't get any eyesight damage simply because damage and strain just auto heal because of the jutsu. I do think the drain for blindness and chakra increase on the amount of time that Itachi uses Tsukiyomi. Like per cast, like each time he casts on somebody, if he uses it for 30 seconds, then it doesn't drain as much as he uses it for like 2 minutes. Next is Kodo Amatsukami. Kodo Amatsukami's potential is insane. It essentially can give you a complete control of an entire nation if cast on the right person. If Shishui was a villain, he might actually be unstoppable. There seems to be two versions of it. One that Danzo cast on Mifune, which when he was finally made aware, he was able to realize he was controlled, and the one that was cast on Itachi. Now, I don't know if it's a retcon or the effectiveness was boosted because of something Shishui did, but that jutsu literally is the reason why all the Edo Tenseis besides Madara was defeated. And what's weird about this, and the reason I said it was a retcon, is because Itachi knows the Kodo is trying to control him, and yet this same awareness that Mifune got affected by did not stop it, and is the reason why Kabuto was defeated in that battle in the cave. Like, it's so crazy because it overwrote something that was affecting Itachi's soul in that body that it was packed into. So the main drawback is that allegedly it can only be used every 10 years, though Hashirama cells allow Danzo to speed this process up exponentially to about it being able to cast once per day. I have no clue about the eye strain, but it's probably low just going on the amount of time it takes to cast it again. Chakra consumption we can't really quantify, but it doesn't seem like a lot, because even after spamming Izanagi, wind techniques, and summoning jutsus, Danzo still has enough chakra to potentially cast it on Tobi if he had defeated Sasuke. The only reason I don't have it higher than Tsukiyomi is because the versatility of Tsukiyomi, and it can be cast way more often. However, the ceiling for Kodo is pretty much limitless. Now on to the big dog, and I'm talking about Susanoo. I'm only talking about regular Susanoo and not perfect, by the way. I have some theories on perfect Susanoo that I may discuss in a future video, so I'll leave that for now. Susanoo pretty much took the power level of the Uchiha to the next level. It essentially has ultimate attack and defense baked into one. The skeletal arms alone have amazing strength feats. With its punches, it's able to easily crush some of the strongest shinobis in the series. Each Susanoo has its own unique ability. For example, Itachi has the Yamanaka beads as well as the Yata mirror for an unstoppable defense and the Tosca blade for sealing, which came in clutch versus Nagato, as I don't think there was going to be any other way to stop him during the war arc. Susanoo is just straight up loaded to the brim with attack power. It's also giving you a crazy defensive shell that's almost impossible to crack, and it's growing continuously with the user while also greatly increasing the strength of Susanoo as well. Madara even has clones using it. It also seems that Susanoo is able to adapt weapons, or maybe it has a way to seal them in itself, simply because Itachi Susanoo's weapons didn't come from itself. They were manifestations of artifacts from the series. Orochimaru recognized the spirit weapon, so it definitely gives some credence to the theory. Unfortunately, this was never explored further. Now onto the drawbacks. So Susanoo definitely has the worst drawback in terms of blindness. I don't think Sasuke even noticed the eye deterioration until he started spamming Susanoo in the summit. Sasuke had his Mangekyou Sharingan for maybe a week or two. However, by the time Danzo falls, this dude's eyes are basically cooked, which is clearly shown when he clashes against Team 7 at the summit. Chakra consumption definitely seems high at first, but it almost looks like it gets easier over time. And by the end of the series, Sasuke in particular doesn't look like it uses much at all. Susanoo also has the added downside of causing physical harm to the user as well. I'm not sure if Kishi retconned this, but it seems like that went away as well. Maybe once you complete the Susanoo manifestation to the cloak version, it stops causing the pain. I don't know. But Sasuke did state that it felt like every cell in his body was taking damage. So take that however you will. Finally, the strongest Mangekyou Sharingan ability, which is everyone's favorite, Obito's Kamui. The ability is so broken that Kishimoto had to take it away from Obito when he became the 10-tailed Jinchuriki. Offensively, it just lets Obito do what he wants. He can appear behind you and or drag someone into the Kamui round, which he can basically use as a prison if he needs to. Defensively, it's insane. It literally took Conan 200 years worth of planning to set up Obito and still didn't work. That's a joke, by the way. Obviously, she prepped, but it wasn't 200 years worth of prep. You know what I'm saying? The utility is insane. You could literally eavesdrop your ear into a conversation you shouldn't be a part of in a room behind a painting or something and hear everything the opposition is doing. I'm pretty sure Obito has done things like that. He seems like the perfect spy, if you think about it. The fact that this thing is so spammable, it has me wondering if it even used chakra, because Obito literally never runs out. Sometimes it almost seems like it's a set to automatically avoid contact because Obito never gets hit. Well, until he fights Kakashi, but that's because he's connected to the Kamui dimension. Basically what I'm trying to say is Kamui has pretty much allowed Obito to terrorize the series for the entirety of part 2. He doesn't even need any other jutsu to defeat the large majority of the cast. Onto the drawbacks. Well, to me there are none. There is no blindness for Obito, and the theory is always going to be Hashirama cells are the reason why his eyes never deteriorate, but it's never actually confirmed if that is the case. It's also highly plausible that the right eye just doesn't cause blindness for whatever reason, or the rate is so low that it isn't noticeable. There may be some truth to this just because of how Kodo Matsukami has never really stated to cause any kind of blindness, or we don't see it at least. I mean, like I said, it's so powerful that Kishimoto basically had to pull something out of his ass in order to defeat it. And I see why once Obito died for real, it took the DMS away from Kakashi. Because I don't know what will happen in Boruto with that kind of ability. And yeah, that's it. Please like the video and subscribe if you're new. And I'll see you on the next one. Liquid Zero out.